Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Okay, good morning, everyone. Today we are doing a meditation that is a bit special because there are, what I understand, very few resources on the internet, and also from my understanding, very few people practice this, even though it is, we always chant about the quality of the Sangha. So today we shall practice Sanghanussati as a meditation. So meditation on the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha is usually, particularly the Buddhanussati, is practiced in traditional forest traditions in Theravada Buddhist disciples as one of the 4 protective meditations to inspire faith in the meditators just before embarking on the arduous practice of vipassana. And so generally, at that point in time, a person would have been quite adept at practicing samadhi, or would have done a lot of jhana practices. So the mind is very, very supple, very wieldy, and very calm and peaceful, and the mind can just deepen the samadhi very quickly. So with that, Buddhanussati, Metta Bhavana, Asubha meditation, death meditation are all very easy. So Sanghanussati is one of such recollecting meditation. I would do it like this. So later when I will be doing the guided meditation, we will practice Metta, which is a supportive meditation for concentration. Itself is a concentration practice, but it's not easy to do it by itself. Because it is generally for people who are adept in samadhi. Then you can do metta as a jhana practice. So we do metta as a preliminary practice, and then using the happiness of metta as a cause for us to practice anapanasati. So once the mind is very, very peaceful on anapanasati, then I will guide everybody on reflecting on the quality of the Sangha. The quality of the Sangha is the meditation object of Sanghanussati. So in order to practice Sanghanussati, we need to understand the quality of the Sangha. So I shall explain the quality of the Sangha in a form of a lecture. Then after that, we'll practice, and then we'll have a bit of Q&A. Okay, so can I have the projection of my slides? So as I think I have often sort of repeated myself, when it comes to meditation, the object, be it the breath or the sensations of the body in the 4 categories of earth, water, fire, and wind, or the skeleton, or the 32 parts of the body, or kasina meditation, the object is just a mean for us to anchor the mind into wholesomeness. So meditation is really the cultivation of wholesome mind. The object itself is just a means for us to anchor the mind into continuous wholesomeness. So what is wholesomeness of the mind? Wholesomeness of mind necessarily would have mindfulness. Mindfulness is the mind confronting, sinking in, not abandoning, guarding on the object. Guarding the object as well as the mind, that is mindfulness. Never forgetting, moment to moment, always with the object. So there is mindfulness. In all wholesome mind, there is mindfulness. In all wholesome mind, there is faith. how does faith feel like? Faith feels like trusting, like letting go of all the doubts and just trust. So this is faith. It would also have non-clinging. Non-clinging feels like the lotus leaf, a drop of water, and when the wind blows, the water just flow along, and the lotus leaf remain not wet. Okay, so this is non-clinging mind. It's always present in wholesome mind. And unconditional acceptance. So the mind is always accepting, no matter whether our mindfulness is perfect or not, the object is perfect or not, the noise and so on, we accept everything unconditionally as if they are all teachings of nature. Okay, so that is another quality of a wholesome mind. The mind of a wholesome mind is also very balanced. It is very soft, very gentle, not necessarily joyful, but happiness will support samadhi. Okay, so if we could decide to be happy, okay, so just sometimes we feel a bit grateful that we are very fortunate to be here in good health, then we feel very happy. With that as a proximate cause, wholesome mind comes easily, and it can have a continuous wholesome mind, continuous mindfulness, continuous faith, continuous non-clinging, non-attachment, unconditional acceptance. Another very useful quality of wholesome mind that I like to make use of to cultivate samadhi is there are two factors called hiri and ottappa. Hiri means shame, ottappa means moral dread. That means it is a feeling of respect. Respecting oneself, we develop this sense of shame. Respecting others, we develop a sense of moral dread, not wanting to hurt anyone. So this sense of respect is very useful for meditation. So meditation, the object is just a mean. The main work is the cultivation of this wholesome mind continuously. So if you know the ingredients of the wholesome mind, you can use that to goad your mind, to guide your mind to stay on the object. And then our meditation will be smooth. Anyway, even if it's not smooth, we shall accept it as part of the nature of the mind. So that is the mind of a meditator. Okay, so anyway, I have prepared some slides just to let everybody understand the quality of the Sangha. So as usual, before I give a talk like this, I will call up my teacher and find out from her, how do I teach Sanghanussati? Okay, so she has said more than once to us, and also when I call her to me, the Sanghanussati, we are really mindful on the quality of Arya Sangha. Arya Sangha are the noble disciples of the Buddha. Okay, noble disciples of the Buddha, we know the Sangha refers to bhikkhus, bhikkhuni, upasaka, upasika. That means the ordained disciples, the bhikkhus, ordained female disciples, the bhikkhunis, and then the lay male disciples, upasaka, and the female lay disciples, upasika. So all of these are Sangha. But there are two kinds of Sangha, the Arya Sangha and the worldling. Worldling means not enlightened. But because we don't have divine eye, we cannot read people's mind, we do not know who is enlightened or not. So we regard the whole community of Sangha and believing with faith that there are enlightened beings in this whole community of Sangha. Okay? So you can have a vision of perhaps the monks in the Thai forests, in the cities, in Sri Lanka, in Myanmar, in the various traditions, maybe in Zhongnanshan, in part of China, deep in the mountains, maybe even some parts of Vietnam, Cambodia, perhaps India, all around the world, and also not just ordained, but also the lay people, perhaps also include the devas. There are many, many Arya devas. Devas, heavenly beings, Brahmas, who are enlightened. So these are the quality of the Arya Sangha is the object of our meditation. And because we do not read minds, we do not know who are Aryas, so we regard the whole community generally, but the quality is for those who are enlightened. And what are the qualities of the Sangha? So just now we have chanted, Supatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Saṅgho, Ujjupatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Saṅgho, Nayapatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Saṅgho, Samiji Patipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Saṅgho. So the first four qualities, the first one is having gone on the good way. Okay? The good way means they are on the right way as proclaimed by the Buddha. And the teachings of the Buddha is found in the Tipitaka. Okay? So for those of us who practice the Theravada tradition, we trust the Pali Canon, okay? The Vinaya Pitaka, the Suttanta Pitaka, the Abhidhamma Pitaka, and all the teachings. And so all of these collections are well proclaimed by the Buddha. If you want to summarize them, it is the teachings on virtues, the teaching on meditation, the teaching on wisdom. So all these Arya Sangha, they practice on the good way, which is the right way as proclaimed by the Buddha. So you can imagine all the monks and nuns and lay disciples, humans and non-humans in this world, part of the sasana, part of this religion, they are practicing on the right way. They are practicing on the true way. Supatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Saṅgho. Okay? Ujjupatipanno, Ujju means straight. They practice on the straight way. What does straight way means? Straight way means they avoid the two extremes. Extremes of body and verbal actions would be extremes in either sensual indulgence or extreme self-mortification. So we keep the 5 precepts. That's it for lay disciples. And for the ordained disciples, they keep the Vinaya. They don't have to go starving themselves, eating only 1 grain of rice, or put their hand up, for years and decades, or never lie down to sleep for years and decades. So it's not necessary. So it's the middle way of body and verbal conduct. There's also middle way of mental practice, purification of the mind. Neither too strained nor too relaxed. Okay? Neither too critical nor too trusting. So it's a balance of wisdom and faith, balance of energy and concentration. So the 5 faculties, mindfulness at the center, always necessary. So this is middle way of the mind as we practice of purifying the mind. There's also middle view, neither the extreme of eternalism nor the extreme of annihilation. So the middle view is the understanding of dependent origination. We may not fully grasp dependent origination, but we have faith that the Buddha says there is no permanent soul, there's nothing permanent. And there's also, you cannot say that there's nothing after death. So there is a middle understanding of dependent origination, of samsara, of law of karma, of rebirth after death, if the root of ignorance and craving is not eradicated. The being continue on like a fire. So this is the straight way, the middle way. Supatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Saṅgho, Ujjupatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Saṅgho, Nayapatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Saṅgho. Nayapatipanno is the true way. Okay, what is the true way? These Arya Sangha have realized Nibbana because even the most junior are Sotapanna, which is stream enterer. Stream enterer, by the time they realize stream entery, they've already realized the 5 aggregates are impermanent, suffering, and non-self. Okay? They may still have conceit, they may still have craving of this and that, but at the moment when they realize Nibbana, they know Nibbana as a truth. So they are practiced on the true way because they are on the way to realize Nibbana, and Nibbana is true. Okay? And they are on the proper way because they practice on the path that is proper. Okay? Proper as expounded in the teaching. So that is Samichi Patipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho. Okay. Then the next phrase, that's the reinforcement of our understanding of the Sanghanussati. The Sanghanussati really refers to Yaridang Chattari Purisa Yugani Atta Purisa Pukala. That means the 4 pairs and the 8 persons. What are these 4 pairs? When a person realizes Nibbana, it's not like, I realize. There is a process of the mind journey. Okay? There is a mind of, when the Eightfold Path is mature, there's a mind that contains the 8 path factors and Nibbana as the object. So at that moment, this is a personality, an aggregate standing on the path of stream entry. Okay? Immediately after that, this being realized Nibbana, and the mind is a mind that is observing Nibbana, and that is, this person is standing on the fruit of stream entry. So this is the first pair, the path and the fruit. Because in ultimate reality, there is anatta. It's just mind and body traversing through. So just as a Sotapanna is just a person who realized Nibbana, after that, he can still have craving for this and craving for that. So, but then this person have experienced Nibbana. So we are referring to a person who have experienced Nibbana in the first pair. Second pair is, as you know, is somebody who does, the first pair, the 3 factors of doubt, of clinging to self-view, of clinging to wrong practices have been eradicated because they have realized Nibbana on the right path. And the second fruit beings, as they continue the Vipassana practice, they realize Nibbana again, traversing the path and fruit similarly. And by then, 2 of the other factors are weakened. The attachment to sensual pleasures and anger. These are weakened but not eradicated. Then the third fruit, if they continue on with Vipassana, the path consciousness happen and the fruition consciousness happen. The path consciousness cut away the attachment to sensual pleasure and anger completely. So this particular being will never have any attachment to sensual pleasures or anger in this mind. So it also means that those who have just realized stream entry and one's returner, they can still get angry, they can still have attachment to sensual pleasures. So after the third fruit totally eradicated the next 2, but they still have a trace of attachment to existence, they will be reborn as a Brahma after death if they do not progress further. That's why they are called non-returner. They are reborn in the Brahma realm, do not come back to this world again, but they are not completely arahant. So this is a non-returner. Then if they continue the Vipassana practice, the final 5 factors will be eradicated. I see whether I can remember the remaining 5. The attachment to existence, sloth, restlessness, conceit, ignorance will be eradicated. I think the last one is sloth, but I'm not very sure. Yeah, but the last 5 will be eradicated, and then one become a fully enlightened arahant. And where does arahant go after they pass away? This is one of the unanswerable questions. You will understand only if you realize Nibbana. Okay? So these are the 4 pairs of individuals, 8 personalities. Okay? So this quality of the Sangha really refer to the quality of the enlightened Sangha. This enlightened Sangha, they are on the good way, on the straight way, on the true way, and on the proper way. Okay? And this Arya Sangha, you can imagine all the Sangha you've seen, monks from Thailand, from Australia, from Cambodia, from America, from Myanmar, from Sri Lanka, from China, from Vietnam, from all around the world, as well as the nuns, okay? And also lay disciples. You can imagine all of them. You don't know who are Aryas, but there must be Aryas because the teaching is still around, okay? And there are people who have practiced properly. So you think of all of them, and they are worthy of gifts. Ahuneyo, Pahuneyo, worthy of hospitality. Ahuneyo, Pahuneyo, Dakineyo. What's the other one? Anjalikaraniyo. Yeah. So what do they mean? Worthy of gifts, worthy of hospitality, hosting them, giving them food, right? Giving them water. Worthy of offerings. Worthy of offerings means we give an offering with a wish for some kind of future. So therein lies a teaching here. As long as we are not enlightened, we will be reborn. Where will we be reborn? Even though we cannot control, but there are levers of control. And the levers of control are wholesome karma. And wholesome karma conducted in a very elaborate, glorious, almost ritualistic, but not the negative connotation of rituals, but in a very respectful, very steeped in decorum, very dignified and inspiring way. This kind of karma can make our wish come true. Okay, so it's with this regard that when we make offering, so this is the dakineyo. When we make offering with a wish to be reborn in a place where there is continuous teachings of the Dhamma, where Dhamma is easily accessible, and there are lots of Arya teachers who can guide us, this wish will come true. Okay? So, of course, human realm is the best, but there are also a lot of teachers in heavens. Even as a Brahma, we can learn from other Brahma. Okay? So, we make an offering to an Arya Sangha, and then we make a determination, may this offering allow us to be reborn in a place where we can learn the Dhamma. So, of course, in the current situation, current era, Dhamma is still very alive. We can practice all the way to Arahatship, even in this human realm. But you know, I know, we know that a lot of us have a lot of clinging to certain things, and so we are lay people, right? So despite this, we want to practice, stay with the fellowship, keep the precepts, meditate to learn about samadhi, experience samadhi for ourselves. It will inspire faith with the samadhi as a basis, and then with the right teacher, we can start to understand five aggregates as they really are, understand their causes, and see their true characteristics, and develop wisdom. And if we are so lucky that we have practiced in the past, we may even experience Nibbana as a layperson, okay? But of course, it will be best if we can commit full time to the practice, if not this life, next life. So we make an offering. So that is Dakineyo. Anjali Karaniyo is they are worthy of honorable respect, salutation, putting our palm together, put at the forehead, and then we pay respect. So that is all the Sangha, we pay respect to them. So they are worthy of this. Anuttarang Punya Ķeṭaṃ Lokasati, which is the field of merit, the incomparable field of merits for the world. So, if you can see some monks maybe at Palelai or at Bedok, they're standing there with the alms bowl. It'll be so good to just dana. Okay, so so sometimes I go to Thailand. Sometimes for work trip I was in Bangkok. Then in the morning there are monks passing by. I will go and quickly buy something and offer. Okay, then sometimes on holiday in Laos, in Sri Lanka, if there are monks, okay, then I'll just dana. So because they are incomparable field of merits for the world. And also, now in Singapore, we have a lot of Sangha members. So some of them are in monasteries, so there's an organized committee to support them. But there are some monastics that are ordained overseas, in Taiwan, maybe in Thailand, in Malaysia, and then because of their health or their parents' health, they come back to Singapore, and they're not supported by organized monasteries or temples, and they're living on their own. Some of them are living alone or in two senior nuns, one taking care of the other, in a temple that nobody visits. There are a lot of Sangha like that in Singapore. So 2 years ago, Venerable Wei Zhi and Chuan Yu, they formed this society called the Ariana Sangha Dana Fellowship, and now it's being registered as a charity to support these monks and nuns in the community. So these are meritorious, It's not easy to support, but we do our best to support. And we do not discriminate Arya or not. Why? Because we cannot read mind, we do not know. So with regard all the monks and nuns, some of them must be Aryas, thinking like this, and then feel that we are part of this community of Sangha. Some of us could be Aryas, and we are part of the community. We think of it like this. And then there's so much merits in supporting all of us, supporting Buddhist fellowship, supporting all the other Buddhist organizations in Singapore, preparing the food in the morning and bring over for potluck, because this is incomparable field of merits for the world. Okay. So I've explained the quality of the Sangha. When we practice, we do not need to recall all of them. I will just be chanting throughout, and then we can select one of them that works for us. Okay, like this works for me, like that they are falling on the right way, or that they are the incomparable field of merits for the world, or they are worthy of offering, they are worthy of gifts, or that they are practicing on the true way, because Nibbana is true. Nibbana is the third noble truth. Okay. So, like Dhammanussati and like Buddhanussati, the Buddhanussati, we use the image of the Buddha to give us that immediate habitual impact. All of us have been Buddhists for a while. We see the Buddha image, immediately we are very happy, inspired. So the image has a value to inspire that emotion. But the image is not the object of the meditation. So there's an image of the Sangha. You can visualize all the Sangha, okay? And then you can chant or just read out, they are practicing the right way, on the right path, on the path to Nibbana, truly worthy, like that. The object is this quality, okay? The image is an aid. It helps us to have this inspiration. So in a way, this meditation is not easy because there are two objects. The image of the Sangha and the quality. Okay? So sometimes you can even have words, Supatipanno, Supatipanno, Supatipanno. Supatipanno, on the good way, on the right way, practicing as taught by the Buddha. So there are many, many objects. The image of the Sangha, Supatipanno, a Pali term, and then the the concept that they're practicing on the right way, true way, 3 objects. So as your mind becomes calmer and calmer, you can let go of the image, let go of Supatipanno, and then let go of even the wordiness, many words that you use. Sometimes your mind is distracted, then you say Supatipanno, recall the image, and then you recall that they're on the right way, then the mind anchor again, and then you can let go of the image. You don't have to do it purposefully, let it be natural, just be. So as your mind becomes very, very still, it tends towards simplicity. So it will tend towards the concept of the quality of the Sangha. They are on the true way, on the good way, on the right way, on the proper way, on the proper way, on the proper way. And then just stay there. Occasionally you can tell yourself, Supatipanno, Supatipanno, Supatipanno. And then the mind will just stay still. And then get distracted again, you say Supatipanno. The mind comes back again. Maybe still distracted, you recall the image of the Sangha. Supatipanno, Supatipanno. So that's how we practice Sanghanussati. Okay. Actually, recently I was reading the book on the great disciples of the Buddha. Not really reading. I use audiobooks a lot because I drive a lot. So this is a book edited by Bhikkhu Bodhi, written by his mentor Nyanaponika and Helmut Hacker. The chapter on Sariputta was particularly inspiring to me. And then Mahamoggallana. And then many of his great disciples, I really like Ananda as well, Venerable Anuruddha, and Mahakaccana. And then lay disciples as Anantapindika. So when I was listening to the books for the last 1 week or so, I was very inspired. So you see, Sanghanussati, like Dhammanussati and like Buddhanussati, is very emotional practice. So it is good for us to recall a bit of stories. Like Venerable Sariputta, he was ordained very soon after the Buddha became fully enlightened. Okay? And we know that he and Mahamoggallana were good friends. They were from the Brahmin families. And he heard one phrase from Venerable Asaji, who was an Arahant, one of the 5 bhikkhus, And then he became a stream enterer. And then he told his friend, who also became a stream enterer, and then they followed the Buddha. And since then, every morning, whenever Asaji and him are in the same monastery, every morning he will pay respect to Venerable Asaji because he was his first teacher, even though Venerable Sariputta was the foremost in wisdom as an Arahant. And he's the chief disciple of the Buddha, we know. Even between the 2 chiefs, wisdom-wise, he is higher. So there was one sutta that was an exchange between Mahamoggallana and Venerable Sariputta. Venerable Mahamoggallana said that Venerable Sariputta's wisdom is so profound. If the wisdom Mahamoggallana has is like a hill, Venerable Sariputta's wisdom is like a mountain. Okay? Then Venerable Sariputta also told Venerable Mahamoggallana, psychic powers is really deep and profound. If the abhinya that Sariputta knows is like a hill, Venerable Mahamoggallana is like a big mountain. Well, both of them respect each other a lot. And more than that, he is very humble. So what I heard from the book was that every morning he'll be the one, when all the monks go out for alms round or are invited for alms round, he'll be sweeping the monasteries. He'll be tidying the places. And with the monks who are sick, he'll be the one to tend to them and nurse them to health. He's very humble. There was once a Samanera, a young little boy monk, who caught Venerable Sariputta, one of the robe was out. Then he told Venerable Sariputta, your robe is out. Then he paid respect to the little boy, monk, folded his robe properly, and then told him, Thank you, teacher. That's Venerable Sariputta. And there are many other very interesting stories. There are monks who think that he offended him, and then he complained to the Buddha, and the Buddha asked everybody to gather and asked Sariputta to come. And then Mahamoggallana and Venerable Ananda gathered everybody to come, say that Venerable Sariputta is going to roar the lion's roar. Okay? So he talked about how he described the mind as like water, like earth, like fire, like wind, like a little boy from the village, like a cow, like a bull with the horn totally cut off. So Venerable Sariputta is like that. He doesn't blame anyone. And then the monk who accused him, asked him for forgiveness. He will say, he will forgive immediately. And not just that, his teachings, there are many, many suttas attributed to him. They are very profound. Like, there's one on Samadhi, where he talked about different rendition of what is right view. And there's a sutta where he talked about nutriment. And the Buddha described him as, if I discuss with Sariputta on the Dhamma for 1 day, he can talk to me for 1 day. If I discuss for 1 month, he can talk to me for 1 month. So Venerable Sariputta can expound the Dhamma in many, many, many ways. And the Buddha, in one of the discourse, very interesting and very important discourse in Majjhima Nikaya, said that Sariputta practiced differently from others. He analyzed the states one by one. Like the citta, like just now I mentioned to you, when the mind is wholesome, there will be this, different aspects of the mind. This is how Venerable Sariputta practiced. For the rest of us, we practice the mind arise and pass away, citta arise and pass away, feeling, vedana arise and pass away. But for him, citta arise and pass away, there is that contact arise and pass away, feeling arise and pass away, perception arise and pass away, attention arise and pass away, joy arise and pass away, attention arise and pass away, desire arise and pass away, faith arise and pass away, one by one. So Venerable Sariputta practiced very deeply. So much so that when the Buddha went to Tawatingsa heaven to teach the Abhidhamma, he'll come back and Venerable Sariputta will hear him summarize his teachings. And Venerable Sariputta would share these teachings with his disciples. This was the beginning of the Abhidhamma Pitaka. Okay? In the Pali Canon, the Theravada Pali Canon, we have this Khuddaka Nikaya, and there's one book called the Patisambhida Magga. It's detailed how do you practice, particularly on many aspects of the practice, such as Metta Bhavana, and many, like when we practice deep Vipassana, many of the teachings are from Venerable Sariputta as well. So this is Venerable Sariputta. He is really a disciple, an Arya Sangha, practicing on the good way, on the straight way, on the true way, on the proper way, worthy of gifts, worthy of offerings, worthy of hospitality, incomparable fields of merit for the world, and we really bow down to him. And of course, Venerable Mahamoggallana, we know, he is foremost in psychic powers. He even go to Brahma realm and tell the Brahma off. He can even go to Deva realm and discuss with Devas and teach them the Dhamma. And he will go to Ghost realm and tell them why they come to help the Ghost realm. And a lot of time, the Buddha will ask Venerable Mahamoggallana to teach on his behalf. And Venerable Rahula, we know, was the Bodhisattva's son before he became an ascetic. The Buddha assigned Mahamoggallana to be the teacher of Venerable Rahula. Okay? There are many other interesting things about Mahamoggallana. I also heard that there was once, the Sangha are supposed to do the Patimokkha chant on new moon and full moon. So one of such time, the Buddha was quiet and silent, didn't begin the chant, the reciting of the Vinaya. And Ananda asked him, may the Blessed One begin the Patimokkha? And the Blessed One says, the Sangha is not pure. Okay? And then the one, please own up, please go. But the Buddha didn't say this, just say the Sangha is not pure. And Mahamoggallana straight away knows who is it. Go to him and say, get up. Then grab him by the neck and push him out. And then after that, they can start to chant the Patimokkha. So Mahamoggallana is really something very interesting, when we hear these stories. It is also said that Venerable Sariputta, if he was like the mother who bring beings to stream entry, Mahamoggallana is the one who nursed them to arahatship. Okay? So these are how they work. And of course, Mahakassapa, the Buddha regard him almost like an equal, share a seat with the Buddha, although Mahakassapa rejected. Offered him his own robe, and the Mahakassapa accepted. But he always liked to practice the ascetic life. He doesn't want to follow the Buddha and stick with the Buddha. And after the Buddha's parinibbana, it was Mahakassapa who organized the Sangha to make sure that all 600 are the top arahants, and tell Ananda, you better be an arahant tonight, otherwise I'm not going to get you to join. So he's very strict in his speech, but a lot of compassion. And because of that, Ananda became an arahant that night. And Mahakassapa was really regarded as the leader after the Buddha's passing. Okay? And in the Mahayana tradition, Mahakassapa was regarded as the person who got the mind-to-mind transmission from the Buddha on Chan teachings. So, and then Venerable Ananda, we know that he's the guardian of the Dhamma, and the reason why we have the suttas today is because of him. Okay, in one of the suttas in Anguttara Nikaya, the Buddha talked about who are the foremost in what. Ananda has maybe one of the most. He's the foremost in the most learned. Okay, strong mindfulness because he got good memory, quick grasp, memorize the Dhamma, and attendant. So Venerable Ananda has a lot of great qualities. Of course, there are many other great disciples like Venerable Patachara. We know the story. She's the foremost among female disciples in the Vinaya. And then there are lay disciples, Anathapindika, Visakha. Okay, so I can't show you some pictures, but let us practice now. I believe you have seen Sangha members. Okay, so but before we do Sanghanussati, let us do Metta, then Anapanasati, and then we do Sanghanussati. That will take us all the way to perhaps nearly 12. Okay. Okay, so let us sit upright. Okay, your hands you can grasp one another or just place them on the laps. Okay. Your legs you can sit either one in front of the other, the open lotus, or one on top of the other, the half lotus. Depends on the height of your cushion. The important thing is for the back to be upright. Not stiff, but upright with confidence. Let us close our eyes and make a determination for the next 25 minutes to 30 minutes or so. May the mind be peaceful. May the faculties be balanced. May the hindrances be suppressed. May the mind be devoted to the practice of the Dhamma, to the practice of meditation, of Metta Bhavana, Anapanasati, and Sanghanussati. And for this next 25 to 30 minutes or so, let us put aside all the thoughts we have related to the past and the future, for we will only attend to them after this period of practice. Let us relax ourselves systematically, starting from the top of the head. Let us feel the sensations on the skin, paying particular attention to the sensation of softness, of flowing, feeling the muscles flowing as if they are melting down our skull, at our forehead, such that all the creases subside at the temples, releasing all the tension of the muscles at our temples. As the muscles flow down around the eyes, feel the eyes relax. The muscles around the eye socket melting away, flowing down to our cheeks, to our jaws. The face is most natural, for there's not a care of how we appear to anyone whatsoever. Let the mind be completely devoted to the practice. Let the muscles at the back of the neck relax as well, flowing and draping themselves down the neck to the shoulders, releasing the grip on our necks such that the spine of our neck relax into its most natural, slightly curved posture. Natural, relaxed. And the muscles on the shoulders, releasing the tension as it flows in all directions, especially down our arms, hanging by the sides. Let the muscles flow all the way to the elbows, allowing the arms to gravitate by their own weights. As the muscles flow down the forearms, to the wrists, to the hands, to the fingertips, as if they are dripping off the tips of our fingers. And on our chest walls, the muscles melt and flow, liberating the rib cage, the lungs, and the heart. Now they are natural, behaving in the most natural way in terms of reflex. For the mind of a meditator is the most respectful observer, without controlling, without judging, without participating. And the lungs and the ribs just move naturally on their own terms. As the muscles flow down the abdomen, all the organs stacked one on top of the other, resting like pillows and cushions in the closet, peaceful and quiet, anchored at the base of the abdomen, the center of our gravity. And the muscles around the pelvis, soft and supple, melting. Our thighs, flowing to the knees, to the calves. The feet, flowing, melting, as if all the way to the floor. Perhaps we can even see the skeleton, for the human body is just a set of skeleton carrying lots of things, wearing muscles, nerves, ligaments and tendons, packaged in skins, clothing, hairs. Let the image of ourselves arise in the mind. A man or a woman seated on a cushion. View ourselves with kindness. May I be free from danger. Let loving kindness suffuse the whole body, as if we are cleansed by a cool shower on a hot day. Let all the pores on our skin accept every ounce of loving kindness, for we deserve all. Self-love, we deserve it. We are worthy of love, because this is the teaching of the Buddha. For the metta taught by the Buddha is unconditional. Regardless of how we think of ourselves, what have we done before? What kind of person have we been? They are immaterial in the eyes of Buddha's loving kindness. May I be free from physical suffering. May I be free from mental suffering. May I be well and happy. Suffusing the whole body with love, allowing every cell to accept every ounce of love, allowing the whole body and mind to be nourished by love. Unconditional acceptance and good wishes, as taught by the Supreme Enlightened One. Allowing this loving kindness to overflow beyond the confines of our body and let it spread like ripples on a lake, outwards like a light, lighting up a whole room of people in this shrine hall. Even with the eyes closed, the mind can see. Let us perceive our fellow Buddhist disciples seated on their chairs or cushions, wearing various colored clothing. Men or women, may all of us seated in this shrine hall be free from danger, and may the loving kindness I have for all of us is the same as the loving kindness I have for myself. May all beings in this shrine hall be free from physical suffering. May all beings in this shrine hall be free from mental suffering. And may all of us be well and happy. Let the mind spread beyond the walls, embracing the whole world of humans and animals, as well as unseen beings like devas and 𝒆𝒂𝒂𝒊. May all beings in this whole world be free from danger, be free from mental suffering, be free from physical suffering. And may all of us be well and happy. Gently, with a mind full of loving kindness, respect, and humility, let us bring the mind back to our bodies, to our breath in front of our nostrils, above the upper lip. When there is an in-breath, we know that there is an in-breath. When there is an out-breath, we know there is an out-breath. The mind staying with the breath is mindfulness. Discerning in and out-breath is wisdom. In-breath and out-breath. Longish breath, short breath. The mind stay with the breath continuously, moment to moment, mindfully, respectfully, with gratitude, with loving kindness, with complete trust. Keep the mind on the breath and regard the breath as if it is our most respected teacher, and as if it is our portal to the Buddha. Such is the breath. In breath and out breath. Stay with the breath throughout its course, from the beginning to the middle and the end of each in-breath and each out-breath. Let the mind be like a guard of a castle, earnest and sincere, observing every breath in and out of the castle, without wondering what they do inside or outside of the castle. Stay with the breath like a disciple, in breath and out breath. Keep the mind curious, respectful, continuous. When the mind is tense, relax. When the mind is too relaxed, ask ourselves, where is the mind? And bring the mind back to the breath. Always an observer, never judge, nor control. Everything is part of nature. We just stay mindful on the breath. with the mind peaceful and calm, let us change the object of our mind. Let us visualize the Sangha of monks and nuns, of lay disciples, humans and devas. Image of monks and nuns, maybe walking down the street in Thailand, in Myanmar, or the vision of monks receiving dana, or monks and nuns giving discourses, and the Buddhist fellowship. Supatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Saṅgho Ujjupatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Saṅgho Nayapatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Saṅgho Samicipatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Saṅgho Yadidang Chattari Purisa Yukani Atta Purisa Pukkala Esa Bhagavato Sāvaka Saṅgho Ahuneyo Pahuneyo Dakineyo Anjalikaraniyo Anuttarang Punyaketang Lokasati. Supatipanno, gone on the good way, on the right way, as proclaimed by the Buddha. All these Sangha, surely there are noble beings in this community of Sangha. They have gone on the right way, on the true way, on the straight way, on the proper way. Surely there must be stream enterers. Surely there must be ones returnal, non-returnal, and arahant. Such worthy beings of gifts, of hospitality, of offerings, of reverence, incomparable fields of merits for the world. Supatipanno, Supatipanno, right way, practicing the right Dhamma as proclaimed by the Buddha. Supatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Saṅgho. Supatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Saṅgho. Supatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Saṅgho. Supatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Saṅgho Ujupatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Saṅgho Nayapatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Saṅgho Sāmichipatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Saṅgho Yadidam Chattari Purisa Yugani Atta Purisa Pokala 𝑴𝒆𝒅𝒊𝒕 Sāvaka Saṅgho Ahuneyo Bahuneyo Dakineyo Anjali Karaniyo Anuttarang Punyaketang Lokasati. Gently, let us bring the mind back to our bodies, realizing that we have just practiced a very wholesome deed of meditation on the Sangha's quality, and may this merit be a cause and condition for the destruction of the taints and the realization of Nibbana. May these merits be shared with all beings. May all beings take equal shares of these merits. At your own time, you may open your eyes. So if there are any questions, you can raise. If there are no questions, then we can end at 12 noon.
Thank you, Dr. Ng. Any questions? We'll open this to the floor. About meditation, you would like to share your experience for today's session.
Hello, thank you so much for the talk. I really like all the details, and it's really interesting to me. Quite rare to hear the nerdiness of the Dhamma. I think the essence is very valuable to me. I want to ask firstly, the book that you are talking about, what is the name of the book?
The Great Disciple of the Buddha. I think it's Wisdom Publication.
Thank you. Okay, second question. It's like sometimes when you deal with other people, let's say caregivers, right? Some of the caregivers, either parents or if I deal with a child, I might have to deal with parents. You deal with the parents, so you might have to deal with the child, right? So sometimes they have not very logical thoughts, not very wholesome. But so the whole community is quite angry with these caregivers, right? So sometimes I go in and try to take their perspective. Sometimes I also get a bit lost. It's so easy to what are they talking about? So like, how do you anchor? I don't want to lose my loving kindness. I usually, I'm quite okay with that, but other people start to think that, why aren't you thinking about the client? Why aren't you protecting enough? For me, it's like, but you also need to talk to other people, right? So, yeah, thank you.
I don't think it's an easy answer. We know in theories, right, that a lot of caregivers are unhappy. When they're unhappy, they can be hurtful. Because when they're unhappy, they're frustrated, and the way to deal with it, some people like to blame, and then they blame everybody, including you. And then for you're trying to help, and yet you're blamed. So of course, we are also not perfect, and then we get hurt as well. And then when we're hurt, we get frustrated. We're also unhappy. When we're happy, we also become hurtful. And then we hurt others, and then we regret. So it's become like very difficult. So that's the theory, right? So it's useful for us to, before we go into the house or before we meet the caregivers, we anchor the mind, on the facts, on the decision to care. Also, sometimes I like to see myself as a skeleton, Ego is poisonous to relationship, to communication. Of course, all of us have ego, but if we can somehow control the ego, the communication can be more effective. So one of my ways is to just see the skeleton. Another way is to just let go. A lot of time we are defensive before we realize it. It's actually because we're tense. The adrenaline is high. Neuroanatomy is the amygdala, it's firing off. So it hijacks the frontal lobe, the more objective mind. It's very emotional. So in order to prevent that, we don't want so much adrenaline. So we go into vagal tone. So we know mindfulness-based stress reduction is effective in raising the vagal tone, Or if you're not very good in mindfulness, you can just tell yourself, let go. Then you talk to yourself a lot, you just say, I don't know. Basically, you don't know. You're an expert, but you're also not an expert. You're not in the house doing 24/7 caregiver like this caregiver is doing. And you also don't know what has she gone through, what kind of trauma she had in the past, what's the relationship between her and the mother or the husband or the siblings, what kind of frustration she feels. So we go in with a kind of, as best as possible, egoless state, coming to help, but also equanimous in the sense that I may not be able to help this person. So you do your best, and then if they're angry, sometimes you do your best, they're still angry. You just have to okay lah, another case, So that is that lah. But if we are like Sariputta, someone blame him, he says that he's like the earth. People can spit or throw anything, he's like the earth. Or like wind, people can throw dust, throw fire, he's like the wind, or fire like water. If we can go into that state, when the person is scolding you, they're not really scolding you, they're just scolding. Yeah. And then you can just absorb. And then after that, if you can send loving kindness, if sufficient samadhi, they can feel it. They can feel the mind like something cooling, touching them. And then if they scold and scold, you don't seem to be unhappy with them. You just listen, and then just maybe share with them certain facts when they need the facts. And they start to feel that, hey, sorry, it's not about you. I'm not against you. Then it's fine, I understand. Then just, can I share with you what is the X-ray says or what the hospital notes say? Then you can just do that. Then you divert the attention to the facts. When it comes to facts, people become a bit more objective. And then once they do that, caregivers, one of the problems is that they put in so much, they forget about themselves, so they get unhappy without themselves knowing. And then they're frustrated because people don't see it. And then it all becomes a spiral of negativity. So if we can distract over the facts, and after that we say a few words of kindness, and then address their unmet needs, needs of recognition, need of love and attention, need to be appreciated, need to have a choice to, I don't want to take care already. Oh, sure, we can organize a respite service for you, you know. They can have all these things. Then later they realize that why they want to care in the first place, because it's out of gratitude, you know. Then they would want to do it again, or it's out of love for the child or the siblings or something. So help them to go into a good space. But we need to know, understand dependent origination in the sense that it's not just what you do or say. Even if you're the most senior of doctors or counselor or psychologists, sometimes it's their parami, it's their past. Then we'll have to like, sorry, cannot help. We are both in the caring profession, so I can talk like this, yeah. Yeah, there's a question from this corner.
Dr. Ng, thank you for the talk, guided meditation. Because I'm still a beginner, so I would like to ask, throughout practicing meditation, right, I feel like getting more calm, less greedy, and less sleep. Actually, need less sleep. But actually, I don't have. Sometimes see some white light. But I don't. I want to ask you how yourself determine whether you have progressed in the meditation.
Yeah. So, you see, the mind is very anicca. It doesn't mean like a good sitting means, oh, you're now a different person. It's not like that. The good sitting just tells you that something is right in that particular sitting. As you do more and more, you start to learn, oh, this is a way to deal with it. You also start to deal with distractions, deal with drowsiness and so on. You also start to learn that it's affected by whether I have enough sleep, whether I've got stomach pain, whether I'm hungry, and so on. You start to learn many of the causes and conditions that conduces towards a good sitting. And then gradually you know the levers of control, and then you will start to cultivate those that are useful and avoid those that are not useful. And then you'll find that your meditation tends to be more good than no good usually. And also you start to see that once you cling on to good meditation, it becomes an obstacle to meditation. Then you start to feel very chill about good and bad. You never criticize. It's all part of dependent origination. Then, but you know, meditation is how you do it. So gradually you learn the skills, particularly the mental skills, how the mind positions itself. And when the mind is very, very humble, very respectful, mindful on the breath, when the mind is continuously mindful, there'll be signs that you're on the right track. Lights, blue color, white color, yellow color, it's right track. But they are not the object. So we just stay with the object, stay with the breath. The light, and initially you feel, this is interesting. But once you feel that interesting, then you're off the right track. So we stay with the breath and continue with the breath. With faith, with humility, like always a disciple. And you'll find that as you continue like this, it becomes brighter and brighter, but you still don't care. You stay with the breath. The light and the breath will become one. But you still ignore the light until the mind and the light and the breath is the same, and you don't care. You still stay with the breath, and then the light and the breath and the mind becomes one until they're crystal clear, and your mind have no choice but to stick with it. You no longer bother with in and out breath, but you just stay with that crystal light. And you don't call it light already, you just call it breath, because it's the same, so you just stay with it. And the mind stick with that breath which is crystalline, and the mind just stay with it, engross, no body, no nothing, you don't care, you just stay with it, and completely like a child seeing a beautiful flower for the first time, just stay with the breath continuously. and you don't care. And then some people say, oh, is this jhana? Oh, then you're out. So it is not, you don't care about jhana. You just stay with the breath, and then you don't know where to go, then you look for a teacher. The teacher will say, okay, stay with this. Any wandering thought? Got wandering thought? Okay, try 1 hour without wandering thought. That's it. The whole path is just learning, never arriving.
Dr. Ng, this question is regarding my auntie. She has stroke now. The problem is she's trying to communicate to tell us something, and we couldn't understand her. So we just try to guess what she's trying to tell us. We just use the word hantam, throw in some words, and hopefully, and try to ask her, is this question right or wrong? Just give her telling us simple, yes or no, or right or wrong, just like that. So I can feel that maybe she want to tell us something, we couldn't get it, and she feel the frustration inside her. Would that be the case or not? I mean, I don't know. And we also can't understand her, and also we feel very sort of uneasy. Why can't I understand her? So please help.
Yes. So stroke, there are many effects of stroke. Depends on where the stroke happens. Stroke can be due to a blood clot, either embolus or the blood just clot there, or it's a bleeding, different kinds of stroke. So whether is it at the hemisphere, cerebral hemisphere, or inside the brain, the fact that she cannot express herself usually is on the surface. Expressing herself is probably on the left side, causing right-sided weakness. And sometimes they cannot understand as well. They may not be able to understand language, but they may be able to understand faces and ambience. And they want to express themselves, sometimes they cannot. Sometimes it's due to dementia, due to cognitive impairment. So there are various reasons how this can create communication barrier. It requires diagnosis. It requires a neurologist to assess and share with us what exactly is the communication problem. Is it a problem with understanding language, or is it a problem of expressing themselves, or is there a global problem of cognitive impairment of dementia? Speech therapists will help. They can use different kind of aids and tools, maybe, depends on the neurological damage. So depends on the neuropathology, we can think about rehabilitation potential. Rehabilitation is usually the realm of speech therapists. But beyond these two, human, we use the mind. So while you ask the doctor and the speech therapist for guidance, what we do is we feel the feeling. The mind can feel if we ourselves are very calm. When the hindrances are suppressed, we don't project ourselves. We become very attentive to every little nuances of facial expressions or gestures or bodily tension or movements. And then we can guess. Guessing is really intuition. Intuition is wisdom if the mind has no hindrances. So if the mind can be very, very peaceful, as in samadhi or jhana, there is wisdom, then we can really understand what they're trying to say. And when they're trying to say, we'll try to feel. Sometimes it's not tangible stuff. It is the expression of feelings. It is the expression of certain emotion that we can feel is like that. So sometimes the sense of the presence helps us understand, and the presence is a communication in itself. Sometimes we can automatically feel that the thing for me to do now is just to hold her hand. The thing for me, I think she's feeling pain. Maybe it's at the shoulder. Let me adjust. So it'll become very natural like that. It's a guessing game, but the more calm you are, the more accurate is our guesses. After all, we can't do anything else apart from guessing. So we will just become completely empathetic, guided by wisdom, based on samadhi, and then we can communicate with somebody who cannot communicate. So generally, in caring for a person with dementia, for example, depend on the stages, we may just do activities that's based on sensory, music, colors, ambience, sensory, touching, reflexes, maybe doing hand massage, maybe giving, if she cannot swallow, then we cannot give her fruits on food and all that. Maybe some kind of oral hygiene, to let the person feel better. If you see the lips are very dry, then we moisturize with artificial saliva. Yeah, so these are how we take care. So guided by medical staff and rehabilitation experts, after that, we go by human nature.
Okay, so that comes to the last question. Thank you, Dr. Ng, for a beautiful answer.
Okay.
Okay. So we have, that's one final question.
Sorry. Thank you, Dr. Ng, for guiding us through this new method of meditation. I've been doing meditation, not very good at it, for sitting, and sometimes I do walking. So I'm just wondering, for when I'm walking, I learned that you focus on left and right, right? Buddha, Buddha. But sometimes the concentration goes to the breath. Yeah, so then I realized that, hey, I should just concentrate on Buddha, or should I go back to breath? And now I've learned this third method from you. Yeah, the concentrate on the Sangha. So yeah, could you, guide me through this? How should I do my walking meditation in a better way?
Yes. So generally, when we're practicing samatha, for the sake of developing concentration, it is good to have one principal object without switching too many. Although we do have a few others, but we know that they are ancillary, they are supportive, they are preliminary. For example, the metta meditation that I did just now was not the primary one. That was a preliminary, preparing the mind. Even the body scan is preliminary, preparing the mind. Breath is a good principal object. So, if the breath is our principal object and you're developing samadhi, the recommendation is whether you're walking, sitting, standing, or lying down, the object is always the breath, even when you're doing walking meditation. But of course, when you're doing walking meditation, then we see it won't happen. We see a dead corpse. You can also do a corpse meditation. Okay, then you go back to the breath. That's your main meditation. Or if you're doing mindfulness walking, you're walking in the park, mindful on the breath, and then the body sensation distracts you. It's interesting. You can actually feel the body for a while and go back to the breath. Or that you feel the breath is very boring. Don't know why today I just feel very restless. The breath is very boring. Then you do Buddha, Buddha, left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot. But one principal object when we are developing samadhi is better. So I've been doing a series of different ones. It's just for a taster. If you have a principal object, please stick to it. It's just that there are some people, they haven't got their main object yet. Breath, they don't like. Then that's why I introduced skeleton, white kasina, water kasina. Maybe one of these is something you like. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Ng, for guiding us this very gentle, nurturing meditation